Welcome back, Daily Show. It is a Wednesday morning, and that means we are back with Vitality. This is going to be really cool.
Good.
Well, and Amy, it's great to have you back in the studio, and it's great to learn more about the awesome work you do at Vitality. Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to be back.
Well, and honestly, I love the fact, Jackie, it's right after a really successful dinner. And, we've already told you, Estella did steal the show, but the biggest focal point is just seeing all those candles lit up and seeing the amount of the impact that you guys have truly had. And it's not, to me, 150 people, it's 150 families,
Yes.
And really doing what you can. And, as we dive back into the conversation with Vitality today, Amy, let's kind of go right into a little bit more of, your work, your life, and ministry, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah.
So let's kind of dive into that. You've spent time in Nepal, other countries, and really kind of well-traveled. Fill me in on what kind of brought you to that calling.
Well, when I met my husband and we married like 27 years ago, he was a missionary and a pastor. And so I just kind of jumped into that lifestyle. And at some point, probably just a couple of years into our marriage, I made my first mission trip. And so once you take that first one, you're kind of addicted. And then it's one after the other after that. Yeah.
So being the wife of a minister is pretty busy, I would imagine.
Yeah. It's always busy. And if you know my husband, it's even more busy because he's always got something in the pot going, kind of a lot like Jackie here. But yeah, so... yeah.
What did you, that experience, on mission trips and some of the work you've done, what has it taught you just about it, and not just, anything specific, but life in general too?
Yeah, so it's taught me a lot about, I think the number one thing I've learned is compassion. Like everywhere you go, you have such compassion on the people that you meet and the people that you're with. And, that's followed me into my job too as nurse manager, is just having compassion.
Well, and too, I think something that Vitality does so well, and getting to know you, Amy, this component, it's really your guys' faith in action. And, seeing, just hearing a little bit about your background and then seeing that kind of translate over to Jackie to the Vitality side of things is really, really important, I think, for the public to connect to. And, is there a moment from your time abroad that stayed with you, or, one specific trip that you're like, what, if I never made another one, this was the one?
Yeah, we have done a lot of work with kids in an orphanage in Nepal.
Okay.
And I think it's always the kids that I come back to, and it always is where my heart is. And that's probably why I've been to Nepal so many times, is because we helped start this orphanage and have walked through it now for, I would say more than 10 years. So some of the kids that were like 5 when we started are now graduating high school. Wow. And so we've been able to follow them all the way through. But I would say the one moment that always sticks out in my mind is when we were in a village with these kids where they were living at the time. And we were, at the end of our trip, we were going to have a big barbecue day kind of celebration, send us off, say goodbye with the kids and things like that. And we were going to have barbecue chicken that night. And all day, the kids were so excited. They would run up to us and say, "We're going to have meat today. We get to have meat today."
Oh, wow.
And for us, it was just another meal. But for them, it was the excitement that they were having meat that day. And it just hit me so hard how much we take for granted here in what we get and what's in our fridge and what's in our freezer. Every time our kids will open it up here and be like, "There's nothing to eat," when it's full.
Yeah.
But for them, it was such excitement that they were going to have meat today. And when they went to the market to get the chickens, I have that picture burned in my memory of them running back with the chickens. "We got the meat, we got the meat." They were so excited just to have meat with their meal that day.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can only imagine how that really shapes, who you are spiritually, and, every bit of who you are as a person gets shaped almost from those type of moments too.
Yeah. Yeah. My kids would probably get tired of hearing me say, well, the kids in Nepal, you know, and because you want them to understand that. And most of our kids now have gone with us on a mission trip.
Oh,
and it changes
fantastic.
who they are too. but this last group of kids I'm raising have not yet been, and you can tell they need to go.
They need to go.
Yeah.
Well, and take me through. You said last group of kids that you're raising.
Mm-hmm.
Take me through, if it's okay, your background a little bit.
Sure. So after my husband and I got married, we had blended a family. So he had 2 daughters coming in, and I had a son coming in from previous marriages, and so we were blending a family. And then we had a daughter soon after that was felt like it blended our family together because she was part of everybody. We called her the glue for a long time, and so we were all just connected through this. And for some reason, I had always had a heart to do foster care. I don't even know where that originated at, honestly.
Interesting.
But my husband and I talked about it, and we decided, yeah, that's something we'd like to do. And we went into it not to adopt kids. We went into it to help kids and to help parents. Yeah. And we had this idea that we were going to help these parents and walk alongside them, and, as they went through this process and getting their kids back. But what happened was all of these kids came up for adoption. It didn't work out. The parents weren't able to get their lives together at the time or whatever. And so they come up for adoption. And by that time, your heart's already, you've grown close to them. Yeah. And so that it just made sense to make them part of our family permanently. And so if you would have asked me when I was a teenager that how many kids I was going to have, I probably would have said 2 or 3, never would have dreamed it was going to total 14, which is what we've ended up with at the end here is 14 kids that we've adopted. Well, 4 that were ours and 10 that we've adopted. So
it's just incredible.
Yeah.
What has that experience been like? Not necessarily just for you and your husband, but also for your entire family. With welcoming in 10 adopted children.
Well, I would say it's not always been easy.
I bet.
There's been a lot of difficult moments, but it has always been rewarding. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of change in kids, and I think the main thing is how I like to think of it is that we get the chance to change the trajectory of a child's life. There's so much baggage that some of them come from when they come as teenagers. A lot of them came in as babies, and so they never knew the life before. And so we have literally got to influence a child and change their whole life of what it would have been. And sometimes that's really heavy even, because you think about where would this child have been had we not taken them in. We have one that's walked through cancer, and I cannot imagine what her life would have been like if we hadn't been there and, been her voice to speak up for her when she was having pain and different things like that. Like, we really do change their whole life. And I don't just give myself credit in that. It's all of us working together, and our church is even working with us and helping us. But it is life-changing.
It really seems, just to me, the amount of reward that, you and your family have received from this too. And like you said, and talking about the honesty of it too. And, not every day is the Disney movie, so to speak. And I think that's so important. And before we take a quick break, how do you think this all ties in to what you do at Vitality? Because, we've always said that on the segments, Jackie, that it's not just a lead by, who can speak more elegantly today. It's really leading by how you guys live your life. And that's really becoming more and more apparent. You take me through the tie-in there and just the connection that you feel at Vitality based on, your journey in life, and then also just separately from that too.
Yeah. So a lot of times when we're working at Vitality and we are talking to women and walking them through some of the toughest times of their life, I know what that's like because I've done that with some of these moms. Even if they didn't end up getting their kids back, we still have a relationship with them, and we still try to keep the kids connected, but I know what they've walked through in those times. And so I feel like I have such compassion for the women that walk through our doors, because I know what they're going through, and I know the struggles that they've been through. Even if I haven't personally walked through those things, I've walked through other people, through them with other people. And to have that kind of compassion is really needed in the job that we do. And also, a lot of people, want to say a lot of times that people who are pro-life only care about the baby until it's born, and they don't care about them afterwards. And I would say that's not true.
Yeah.
Because I've cared about kids overseas, and I've cared about kids here, and we've raised kids. We've done the hard work, and it is hard work raising kids and getting them through teenage years, and some of the things that we've had from kids that have been affected by drugs. It's hard work.
Yeah.
And so we've put in the work there, and I'm not the only one in our center. There are, I would say, probably half of ours have adopted or do foster care, or or working in that ministry somehow.
Just incredible. And, I think that's such a good testament, too, for maybe, and I always think about if there is one woman out there today that really is struggling and she stumbles upon the interview on demand or live, and, just the correlation, the connection that prospective, patient could really have in that connection. And that is, not we've walked in your shoes every second of the day, but we do have this background and we have this information, because I'm sure there's so many times that maybe women have, I don't want to say anxiety thoughts, but just the thoughts of, what happens if I do adoption? What happens if we go this route? And I'm sure it's nice, not to give them every answer, but to have that background in it enough to, hit pause on everything that's kind of absorbing us, and just being able to really get on top of it and tackle and be the best we can be.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think a lot of them have even had their own experiences with foster care.
Yeah.
And so we have the knowledge to tell them there's foster care and there's adoption.
Yeah.
Like if you give your baby up for adoption, they're not going into foster care. I think so many women come in with that thought in their head that's not true. There's so much more that they can decide for themselves when it comes to adoption, and it's not just putting a baby in a system that's then you don't know ever what's going to happen with it. So yeah.
Jackie, this is another great segment.
I'll tell you what, this is where it's so great when you're surrounded by incredible people that love the work they do. I get to just like I said, I bring the donuts and I just sit back and watch them do their thing. It's the most incredible thing, because everyone in the center, they are so passionate about the work they do.
Yeah.
And they have the background and they have the education and the systems to know that what they're doing is life-changing work, and putting everything they have and making sure these girls have resources and access to systems that they need to really be successful in life.
Absolutely. You guys have a moment to take a quick break?
Yeah.
We'll come back with more of this great conversation on your Wednesday morning next.
Firearms training shouldn't feel intimidating. At Precision Point Armory in Bethalto, we focus on safety, confidence, and real-world skills. Whether you're new or renewing your concealed carry, you'll get professional instruction without pressure. Learn safe handling, sound decision-making, and proper techniques tailored to your experience level. If you're looking for premium firearms training in the heart of Bethalto, Illinois, call 618-779-9947 or go to PrecisionPointArmory.net and train with confidence today.
Struggling with depression that just won't go away? At Precision TMS, we offer a non-invasive, drug-free treatment designed to target the areas of the brain linked to mood regulation. Using FDA-cleared transcranial magnetic stimulation, gentle magnetic pulses help reactivate underperforming brain circuits without surgery or sedation. Many patients experience real relief, even after other treatments haven't worked. Our experienced team provides personalized care every step of the way. Contact Precision TMS today to see if TMS therapy is right for you.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
What's up? It's Mike Keith. What's up, bro? Good, back to spotlight other amazing alumni and how they discovered their path at Lewis and Clark. Let's jump into it. This is Tom Wells,
an assistant chief of the Godfrey Fire District. He has been a firefighter and an EMT for over 20 years. Tom is currently an instructor in the Lewis and Clark Paramedicine program and has 2 degrees from LC, fire science and nursing.
I'm Tom Wills, and I'm a trailblazer.
If you think you might be pregnant, you don't have to face it alone. At Vitality Women's Clinic, you'll find the care you deserve. We offer confidential, no-cost pregnancy testing, ultrasounds, and STI testing. Our team is here to listen, support you, and help you understand your options without pressure or judgment. Walk in or make an appointment today. Call 618-466-1690 or visit vitalitywomensclinic.org. Vitality Women's Clinic, Clear answers, real support.
Welcome back, Daily Show on a Wednesday. Back in with Amy, back in with Jackie, Vitality Women's Clinic, and back into more of this great conversation. You know, Amy, for anybody, just before we move on here, what would you say to anyone that's maybe considering, you know, going in and being a foster parent or going into that route? Is there anything that you can, you know, kind of give advice-wise or any FAQs that you kind of normally have in conversations with folks that are considering this?
The first thing I think I would say is we get, as foster parents, I know I'm not the only one, I hear this a lot, that we have people all the time telling us, you guys are such amazing people, you're wonderful, you know, I couldn't do what you do, those kinds of things. And I disagree with that because I feel like I'm just a normal, everyday person. You know, I think there's not anything extra wonderful about me or my parenting or anything like that. It's just the one difference is that we said yes. And
that's cool. That's a great way to look at that.
Yeah, and so many people think that they're not cut out to do foster care, and it's not something that you have to have all this training for. They will train you.
Yeah.
You go through the classes and learn the things that you need to learn about foster care. But other than that, it's just we're bringing kids in our home and we're being mom and dad to them. And there are some extra challenges that come along with that, but I feel like anybody who is a parent or knows how to be a parent or wants to be a parent can do this job.
Yeah.
It's not anything extraordinary about me. You know, my kids would tell you I'm very imperfect. I make a lot of mistakes, and I've learned a lot over the years. You could make a whole show on the things they would tell you about me. And it's just about saying yes, I think.
Really cool.
Yeah.
I like this. You know, going in to back to the conversation here, how long have you been at Vitality?
I started there at the end of September this last year when
kidding.
Yeah, when their previous nurse manager retired. So I was stepping into some big shoes to fill there, you know.
Okay.
And so I've learned a lot, and even in this short amount of time that I feel like I've been there.
Has working for Vitality or you know, has that ever been on your radar, or just something that kind of was just a timing thing?
Actually, it was on my radar to not actually work as nurse manager, but I had signed up to volunteer about 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
And I had an appointment to come in and meet with Lori at the time, and then that's when I found out that our daughter had cancer.
Oh,
and so then our whole lives kind of changed.
Oh,
and
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, and so that got put on a back burner, and I didn't know if I'd ever come around to it again, honestly. And then now, 6 years later, she's stable and doing better, and I was able to step back into a nursing role. And so that's when one of my adult children actually called me and said, "Mom, I have the perfect job for you. This job is for you." And she's like, "But my friend is applying for it." And so I'm like, "Well, then I don't think it's the perfect job for me." And she's like, "Well, we'll see if she takes it or not, because I really feel like this job's for you." And then the other person ended up going a different way.
Wow.
And but she dropped my name when she was there. And so then I got an interview with Lori, and it just felt like the timing was right. And the job was right. It was perfect. It does go along with, you know, everything we've done in our lives leading up to this.
Well, and, you know, throughout it all, you know, and the only reason I ask this is, you know, just because of your family's background, your husband being, you know, a minister and everything, do you whenever you're getting kind of tested, you have 14, children and you have the diagnosis and what's the best thing that you can advise for maybe a woman that's going through a struggle right now that maybe is having a hard time either finding her faith or just recognizing that? And I hate to put you on the spot for such a sensitive question, but I feel like you have such a background to really give us some insight on this.
Yeah, I think that turning to God in those moments is really important. Even when I'd be lying if I said I walked through all of that with our daughter and my faith wasn't tested.
Yeah.
Because it was. It's hard to understand why children suffer such pain. And I saw a lot of it, not with just our daughter, but, being at a children's hospital all the time or being at St. Jude, you see it all around you. Yeah. And it created a struggle in my life. But there's a faith there that I've had since I was a teenager. And I know the difference that it's made in my life.
Yeah.
I've seen real miracles in my life. And I was able to lean back on those times that I always have this thing where somebody said to me one time, never question in the dark what you learned in the light.
Yeah.
And so I have had to lean on that heavily. And I think that anybody who reaches out to God, whether they have a background in it or not, if they will reach out to him and then listen, you will hear his voice. You will hear what he has to say to you. And, spending time with him in those dark times has been what's led me through all this. And hard times in foster parenting or hard times in work. Yep. It's always going back to that, my foundation of who I am in Jesus.
Absolutely. Amy, it was really just a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out with us and sharing your really powerful story today. And, what message do you want, before I let you go, what would you want every woman walking through the door to hear?
I want them to know that that we're not there to pressure them or to tell them what to do, that we're there so that they have a safe place to come and talk about what they're going through, and that we are full of compassion and care, and we're there to just walk them through their choices and to give them good information, not to try to pressure them or force them into making any kind of decision. No matter what decision they make, we're there to give them support, throughout what they're going through, whether it's, STI testing or pregnancy or whatever. We're there to support them and give them the information that they need to make their decisions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for stopping by. Jackie, anything else for now?
Just baby bottle campaign.
Oh,
Mother's Day through Father's Day. So we just got these new bottles in. They are beautiful. And this one's full. It's ready to go. So we've got about 2,400 more that are going to be going out into the marketplace.
Fantastic.
So if you're a church that has not done it in the past, or community groups, we just sent some out to the schools. It's going to continue to grow and evolve and just become a big part of helping us, keep the mission going and help us buy more diapers to give away and help us do just a lot more in the community. So thank you for all your support.
Good stuff. We'll link everything in a write-up on RiverBender.com. You guys stay there, and we'll be here, RiverBender, Roku TV.
If you think you might be pregnant, you don't have to face it alone. At Vitality Women's Clinic, you'll find the care you deserve. We offer confidential,